Good morning. As you've noticed, I'm not there today, nor is my family. First of all, happy Easter. Wanted to bring the rest of you up to speed that do not have Facebook, that don't have blog access, computer access to what the events of this week have been. We have had these video testimonies called What in the World Is He Doing? I guess today's my turn. Last Sunday, we took Brynna into the doctor. Long story short, I'll keep it short. She was care flighted to Dallas with RSV and a common cold, which for her is critical. Her lungs were heavily infected. She was in critical condition. Was care flighted here to Dallas, and where we've been ever since, trying to restore lung function. When we got here, she was placed on a breathing machine called a BiPAP that is real similar to, or the same as, what people use for sleep apnea. We were able to come off of that yesterday. It's 5 a.m. on Friday right now. We were able to come off for several hours off of the BiPAP machine. And then late last night, we had to put her back on the machine. She was not able to continue to breathe on her own and keep her oxygen status where it needs to be. We will be in the ICU for an undetermined period of time, probably going to the regular floor after that to transition home. How long that's going to be, we don't know. But we did want to just kind of bring you up to speed about what was happening in our world. A couple of things. I want to say thank you to everyone who has prayed for us, who has called, texted, emailed, come by, brought food. I have more snacks here than I will ever need to eat, though I will give it my best shot. Want to thank you for all that you do and the care that you have. When Brynna was born, many of you were not here for those days to see her walk through those things. Living in community is something I talk about a lot, something that I kind of push on you a great deal. But without the community that we have, this would be a very, very, very difficult time, more so than it already is. And I want to thank you for that. And I want to continue to encourage you to walk in that. We had decided early on, when we knew that Brynna was going to have issues, that we would walk through them publicly and openly, for God's glory, for our joy, and for yours. He has proven us over and over again for that to be a good thing. We've been able to minister to many families because of Brynna's difficulties. We've experienced this time around. We've done the helicopter ride before, and that was tough. Tammy got to ride with her that time, and I got to drive the 2-hour drive, not knowing if she was alive when she got on the ground or not. This time, it so worked out that I left earlier to come to Dallas, thinking Tammy was going to ride in the helicopter. That did not happen. They had sent an extra crew member because it was very likely the potential for Brynna to crash, code, if you will, on the helicopter ride over. So they sent an extra member in case they had to intubate en route, and so there wasn't room for Tammy on the helicopter. So she got to load our baby girl up onto a helicopter and watch her fly away, helpless to do anything but find a ride to Dallas, which my parents were dutiful to do. But it just so happened and just so worked that when Brynna hit the ground here, I was able to be there at the helipad and to unload her with the air crew. To ask a mother to load their child onto a chopper and watch them fly away, not knowing what will happen en route, that's deep water. love my wife very dearly, and she's a rock. She's a stone. She's a very strong woman and has weathered it very well. We don't know what the next weeks are going to hold, but I wanted to share a couple of things with you this morning. I will continue to update via the blog. That's the easiest way for us to have one-stop shopping, if you will. Bruce has that website if you would like to get involved in that. If not, hook up with someone who does, and they can keep you in the loop. It's just too much for us to try to update everyone that we would like to, and quite frankly, it's busy here. We have not had any sleep. I actually got 3 hours sleep last night, contiguous hours. It was great. Typically, we're 30 to 45 minutes at a stretch is about all we get. So, thank you for helping us with that and helping us to stay up to date via that path if possible. But at the same time, feel free to call, feel free to text. I may not get back to you. We'll do our best. I wanted to read a passage of scripture to you that the context is not weathering the storms of life. It is the context of taking whatever comes our way due to the gospel. In 2 Corinthians 4, Paul says some words here that I want to share with you. He says, "But we have this treasure in jars of clay, to show that the surpassing power belongs to God and not to us. We are afflicted in every way, but not crushed, perplexed, but not driven to despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed, always carrying in the body of the death of Jesus, always carrying in the body the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be manifested in our bodies. For we who live are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus also may be manifested in our mortal flesh. So death is at work in us, but life in you." Scripture is very clear. Scripture is very plain that we're going to have trouble in this world. You can look at it in a lot of different ways. You can blame God for your hardships. You can shake your fist at Him for what you're going through, or you can embrace it. Everything that God asks us to walk through is ultimately for His glory and our joy. How can we have joy watching our baby girl go through such things, you may ask? It's a good question. It's valid. But don't confuse joy with happiness. Happiness is a box of Reese's peanut butter cups that are delivered to the room. That makes you happy. But joy is knowing that her viability, that her life is in God's hands. Joy is knowing that through her suffering, others are growing closer to the Lord, that I'm growing closer to the Lord, that our family's growing closer together. That brings me joy. I was telling Bruce, and I see my little clock, it's at 8 minutes, and I'll be fast. Every time we're in the hospital, there's a family, usually one particular family that we tend to gravitate towards, talk to, make contact with, pray with, have the opportunity to minister to. And this time we haven't had that. We've been busy with this one. There's not been a lot of downtime to walk the halls, to talk to people, to get to know folks. And then yesterday, a little girl, a 3-year-old girl, was brought in by helicopter from Tyler. Mother Francis. Mom's here alone. If you saw the blog, and you noted that the little girl coded, which means her heart stopped, basically. Stopped breathing on the helipad as they got here. And so we've been able to pray for this family and to watch the Lord give strength to this mother. Those are things that are joyful, to watch God draw His children closer to Himself, even through tragedy, even through difficulty and hardship. One of the things I'm constantly telling you as a congregation is this: don't wait until your child is on a helicopter to decide that that's when you need to draw close to the Lord. You need to draw close now. You need to be ready before you get that call. I've often wondered why it is that we are here, why we're on this road. That's not a good question. The right question is, how can he receive glory? How can he enhance my joy through his glory in these things? I want to say thank you for all that you've done. I want to say thank you for loving our family. Please continue to pray. Worship today. Give him your heart. This is Easter. It's a season of hope. Did Jesus raise from the dead on this particular day? No. Has it been commercialized? Yeah. But this is the day that we do set aside to remember the hope that we have in the resurrection of Christ. And as Brynna lay in her room, she's a floor below me today. I had to find a quiet spot. And she's laying there back on the breathing machine. Jesus has already conquered death. And if he chooses to take her to be with him, if he chooses that we're done with her, that's his choice. He is sovereign. He is mighty, holy, and righteous in all that he does. And we will give him honor and glory and praise. And if he heals her, and she makes a miraculous recovery, that too is his sovereign choice. But he has also told us to pray. I believe he works through the prayers of the saints, and I would covet your prayers and continued lifting up of Brynna. And don't forget the other kids. They kind of get sidetracked during these times, scattered about. Thank you for offering to help, but pray for them that they would be strong and not feel left out. We do the best that we can to divide and conquer, as we've done this week, and we'll do again next week and through the weekend. But pray for them. Pray for my wife. Tammy's a strong woman, but she's a mother who has a baby laying in the hospital on a machine so she can breathe. Those are deep waters. We love you, Martinsville Baptist Church. You mean the world to us. I hope that somehow through Brynna's suffering and struggles that you will find a closer and a deeper walk with the Lord, and that he can use them as such. I hope and I pray that you find great peace with him, and that you make your relationship with him real. In times like this, it needs to be real. If it's not real, it will not sustain you. Genuine faith, running towards the Lord in obedience and holiness and righteousness as best as the Spirit can empower you is all you can do. Thanks. We'll see y'all when we see you. Bye. Love you all.